What's up, guys? Welcome back. This is Anime Crossover. You'll be watching What If Naruto Was Married to the Goddess of Death in Marvel Part 8. Now, let's begin. Not only was Nick Fury unable to assert control over cooperating with Hydra, but he also lacked the confidence to take charge. When it came to taking down the Hydra, Nick Fury lacked the necessary determination. Today's Hydra had lost its previous influence in the plot. They had wholeheartedly embraced Asgard's greatness. If someone is truly committed to addressing the Hydra issue, it is important to take into account Asgard's response. This kind of thing was quite challenging and had the potential to upset individuals. Nick Fury promptly tossed the pot. He reported the matter to the higher authorities and let them deal with the issue. Nick Fury patiently awaited further instructions. Upon seeing Nick Fury's less than appealing appearance, Pierce couldn't help but feel a sense of satisfaction. This was likely his most comfortable day since becoming a Hydra. Prior to this, he had never fathomed the possibility of boldly proclaiming "Long live the Hydra" in the presence of Nick Fury. Despite being aware of Nick Fury's affiliation with Hydra, there was little that could be done to hold him accountable. Having a supporter was truly gratifying. Regarding Nick Fury, he was understandably feeling down. What led to Hydra's involvement with Hela? Considering that formidable figure, Nick Fury's complexion grew paler, and he became overwhelmed with panic. He narrowly escaped death at the hands of Hela in the beginning, and he had no desire to go through that ordeal again. Nick Fury and Pierce didn't have to wait for very long. Soon, the leaders of humanity issued commands. Upon reviewing the directives from the authorities, Nick Fury composed himself, refrained from taking action against Pierce, and rose to his feet to extend a handshake. "I have just been informed that there is no Hydra presence within S.H.I.E.L.D. S.H.I.E.L.D. remains unchanged and continues to operate as it always has. I look forward to a genuine collaboration in the future to uphold Earth's order and safeguard it against any external threats." Nick Fury's appearance may not have been conventionally attractive, but he possessed a deep understanding that the leaders of humanity were left with no alternative. They were unable to oppose Asgard. They had no choice but to bear the overwhelming sense of powerlessness and align themselves with Hydra. In the eyes of those in positions of power, whether it be Hydra or S.H.I.E.L.D., they were all merely instruments. The purpose of tools was not to have independent thoughts. As long as Hydra didn't cause any major disruptions, simply allow it to proceed as it pleased. Pierce had clearly anticipated this outcome. With a confident smile on his face, he shook Nick Fury's hand. "This time, I emerged victorious, and I look forward to collaborating diligently with you in the future. I believe that both you and Asgard have a shared goal of ensuring a stable Earth." The grin on Pierce's face infuriated Nick Fury. However, Nick Fury could only depart with a displeased expression. "Hydra, Asgard, SHI. Ahem, never mind. They can be quite frustrating, to say the least." However, Nick Fury remained undeterred. Even if S.H.I.E.L.D. had been compromised, he had additional cards at his disposal. Why is there only a single department under the esteemed leadership of the King of Agents at SHIELD? It was clear that S.H.I.E.L.D. would eventually decline, a situation that was bound to happen. Thankfully, the Avengers remained under his command, and he possessed a powerful advantage in his possession. It is unlikely that Naruto would be aware of the clash between S.H.I.E.L.D. and Hydra. Despite being aware of it, he wouldn't let it affect him. Given its immense power, the size of Naruto's pattern was undoubtedly much larger. The power struggle on the Earth was, in the end, merely a game played by individuals. A true professional would not limit their focus to just the Earth. Following their time in Asgard, Naruto and Hela made their way back to Earth. It remained the unchanged manner with its familiar dark cuisine. Hela's culinary skills had shown significant improvement. Finally, Naruto found some relief from the torment. Furthermore, Hela was well aware of Naruto's suffering. Despite her determination and commitment, she continued to prepare Naruto's dark dishes on a daily basis. Thankfully, after tormenting Naruto, Hela would consistently find a way to make it up to him. Perhaps it was due to their extensive history, but over time, Hela grew more confident. In the past, whenever Naruto wanted to try out some new tricks, Hela would give him a stern look, making it clear that she disapproved of his mischievous ideas. However, Hela no longer rejected Naruto's new techniques and occasionally even took the lead in collaborating. For instance, donning elegant stockings, slipping into a unique outfit, or adopting a demure stance. With Hela's exceptional physique and remarkable flexibility, there was no challenge she couldn't conquer from any angle, effortlessly meeting Naruto's every requirement. It was like an intriguing box, which brought Naruto a completely different sensation each time. In the kitchen of the manor, on the sofa, on the balcony, in the pool, Naruto and Hela were working diligently together. So Naruto eagerly anticipated Hela's flavorful creations on a daily basis. Regardless of whether he received payment or not, it made no difference. It was important to Naruto to witness the progress in Hela's cooking skills. Indeed, that's all. Naruto was Hela's spouse, and Hela would accommodate his strong-willed nature. It's worth noting that Hela remained distant, even in the presence of Frigga. There was no animosity between Hela and Frigga, but Hela possessed a distinct personality. Only Naruto could create an environment where Hela felt comfortable enough to fully express herself. Aside from relishing his daily life with Hela, Naruto also made a point to stay informed about current events. Even though Naruto didn't take any action, it wasn't a bad idea for him to observe it for entertainment. It was a delightful experience. It is worth noting that the little spider, who was adored by everyone in the neighborhood, has made his first appearance. Now, in New York City, it was not uncommon to spot a small Spider-Man gracefully swinging from building to building. Naturally, a few unfortunate individuals were apprehended by Spider-Man. Furthermore, the majority of the news had a negative tone, focusing on crime incidents and the emergence of new criminals. It must be acknowledged that the crime rate in the Marvel world was greatly exaggerated, and the lives of ordinary people were akin to living in a nightmarish reality. The fragmentation of social value, along with the looming threat of an alien invasion, caused significant unrest among the underclass. Many individuals who engaged in criminal activities were compelled to do so against their will. This also resulted in the proliferation of various religions in the United States, a mix of beliefs, and the emergence of a wide range of deities. In any era, the soil of religion thrives in the midst of a turbulent society. If you need evidence, you can refer to historical records. In the final years of the dynasty, there were consistently prominent religions. Being a prominent church in the United States, the Christian church would not passively observe this situation unfold. As the number of churches increased in the United States, the Christian religion experienced a significant impact. The recent movement of the Christian church was significant in its efforts to save its believers. Several priests went on the news to claim that they had received divine guidance and heard the voice of God. As per the priest's perspective, there was a sense of divine discontentment with the state of the human world. In today's society, there is a significant increase in criminal activity, highlighting the moral shortcomings of individuals. It was determined that mankind would be saved and God's glory would be restored on earth. Soon, extraordinary events would unfold in the world, as celestial beings would descend once more. Given the nature of this news, there was understandably a significant amount of criticism. Many doubted the existence of God and questioned the authenticity of the supposed miracle. Even the most dedicated followers of faith thought that the priest was mentally unstable and should be admitted to Arca Mental Hospital. However, to the surprise of everyone, the angel of God actually appeared. Vatican City, a place of great historical significance. A multitude of devout individuals congregated in the expansive square, engaging in fervent prayer. Only a day ago, an extraordinary phenomenon unfolded as a radiant light emerged in the sky above the Vatican City. As the gates of heaven were on the verge of opening, accompanied by a divine radiance, celestial melodies resonated from above. This phenomenon quickly generated widespread shock around the globe. With its immense global following, the Christian Church is one of the most prominent faiths on earth today, with billions of devoted followers. It's remarkable how many devoted followers of the Christian Church flocked to the Papal States overnight, eager to be the first to hear the divine message. Today's Papal State was widely broadcasted to a global audience. Naruto had a similar experience. He sat on the sofa with Hela and witnessed the extraordinary event unfolding above Vatican City. However, unlike those who believed in God like ordinary people, Naruto and Hela had a deep understanding of the true nature of what many referred to as God. There is undeniable evidence of the existence of God. Naruto had received confirmation directly from Hela. Throughout the ages, God has graced the earth long before the dawn of human civilization. He established the Christian Church, which has become the most influential religious institution in the world. However, a strong conflict arose between the divine realm and Asgard. When Odin reached his limit, he sealed away God alongside heaven. Strictly speaking, heaven, where God resided, was considered a dimension connected to the world tree, just like the 9 realms. It should be the 10 realms at the earliest. Only after Odin sealed the heavenly realm did the 10 realms transform into the 9 realms that are widely recognized today. So, due to Odin's demise, the seal that Odin had placed began to fade away, allowing God to return with his heavenly realm, correct? Naruto inquired with Hela and received an affirmative response. There are not only heavenly beings, but also a multitude of formidable adversaries who have been sealed by Odin, and they are all set to return in the near future. Hela informed Naruto that she was already aware of this outcome. This was the ultimate factor that led Odin to pass on the Asgardian throne to Hela. If the successor to Asgard lacks sufficient strength, then Asgard would undoubtedly find itself in a dire predicament upon their demise. In comparison to Hela, Thor's strength remained insufficient. Are heaven and God not adversaries? Naruto contemplated deeply. Due to Odin's actions, heaven remained sealed. It was challenging to determine if it would pose a threat to Asgard. Given the strong bond between Naruto and Hela, it is evident that Naruto would swiftly respond if Asgard were truly under threat. Who knows? I have no interest in getting into conflicts with those avian individuals. Anyway, Hela responded with a lack of interest. She was also influenced by Naruto and had now embraced a more relaxed lifestyle. In general, as long as no one provokes Asgard, they are unlikely to engage in unnecessary conflicts. Heaven was safe from Asgard's retaliation as long as they refrained from provoking them. Regarding the question of whether heaven could truly let go of past grievances, it is difficult to provide a definitive answer. Throughout the conversation between Naruto and Hela, there was a noticeable shift in the divine radiance enveloping the papal states. The bright light, which was already quite prominent, had now intensified to an overwhelming level. Nevertheless, the intense illumination did not cause any discomfort among individuals. Instead, everyone perceived it as being very considerate. This unusual occurrence naturally prompted numerous individuals to question whether it was truly a miraculous event. Even skeptics who didn't subscribe to the Christian faith couldn't help but murmur to themselves during this moment. Following that, a purported celestial voice descended gracefully from above, permeating the ears of all who listened. This strengthened the faith of Christian believers, as they proclaimed to have heard the divine voice of God. Then, a door suddenly materialized from the sky, growing increasingly conspicuous. At this moment, even individuals who were skeptical about the existence of a higher power were left speechless. The materialistic tendencies in their hearts started to falter. Is it possible that this is a divine arrival? The majestic gates of heaven materialized, and the Nordic beings descended upon the earth. Having another god didn't appear to be an unreasonable notion, and people from all walks of life were astounded when they witnessed this extraordinary sight. They always said amen without fail, no matter the situation or place, as if they were under some kind of spell. Amidst the watchful eyes of a global audience, the majestic gates of heaven began to open, revealing its splendor. Next, a female angel with 4 wings gracefully emerged from the door. The angel wore a mask, revealing only a small portion of her face, while emanating a deeply sacred aura. Witnessing this sight, even the staunchest believers in materialism had their worldview profoundly rattled. Even the angel had made an appearance. Who would have the audacity to claim that God is untrue? Regarding the followers of the Christian religion, it seems that they have all lost their sanity. They expressed their devotion fervently and offered their worship towards the Vatican City of Papal State. Even individuals who did not subscribe to the Christian faith found themselves compelled to follow the believers at that moment. When faith became a reality, its profound impact was immeasurable. Observing the exaggerated appearance of the angel, Hela couldn't help but express her disapproval by biting her lips. Despite being a four-winged angel, its appearance is quite exaggerated. Even God had been restrained by Asgard, and that angel truly displayed courage. Nevertheless, the angel's approach was highly effective. It utilized both the sacred light and the celestial portal. When it comes to appearance alone, Asgard was definitely lacking in strength. Asgard has always preferred a straightforward and rugged approach. Their prior arrival in the Battle of New York City was solely via the Rainbow Bridge. Even though it was surprising, the surprise didn't last long, and it was challenging to make an impression on people. Maybe Asgard could consider enhancing its appearance in the future as well. Simultaneously, above the Papal States, the celestial being that had descended uttered words. The world is filled with negative actions and is engulfed in chaos and destruction. Through divine guidance, I am committed to cleansing the world of its transgressions and guiding individuals towards righteousness. Those who lead virtuous lives will find eternal bliss, while those who engage in wickedness will face everlasting damnation. The sound was not loud, but it resonated across the entire globe thanks to the diligent reporters. It is evident that the arrival of the angels would undoubtedly have a significant influence on this world. Fortunately, this was the Marvel world where an abundance of powerful individuals constantly emerged. Otherwise, the Earth could be easily ruled by a higher power. Furthermore, Asgard has previously made contact with Earth, providing a valuable learning experience for humanity. It made humanity aware that the so-called gods, similar to them, were simply living beings. The world in which the gods resided was situated on an unfamiliar planet, setting it apart from the rest. Most people perceive them as extraterrestrial beings who once visited Earth, regardless of their origins in heaven or Asgard. This also minimized the disruption caused by the angels' arrival, preventing the world from descending into chaos. There were even some popular conspiracy theories that suggested the arrival of angels could pose a significant threat to humanity. There has always been a demand for conspiracy theories, regardless of age. Nevertheless, the impact was significant, particularly among devout followers of the Christian faith. Those devoted followers of the Christian faith were filled with awe when the angel made a remarkable appearance. They fervently exclaimed Amen throughout the day, displaying a devout demeanor as if they were under a spiritual influence. It was clear that once the angels initiated a holy war, those individuals would swiftly transform into warriors. They would faithfully follow God's commands and eliminate all forms of heresy. Nick Fury was also greatly concerned by this. Angels had intensified the existing chaos on Earth. The most crucial aspect was the heavenly demeanor. What was it precisely? If it was comparable to Asgard, it was satisfactory. Despite Asgard's authoritative nature, it had minimal involvement in earthly matters. However, heaven had a distinct atmosphere. They had a significant amount of troubling past events. Undoubtedly, a highly esteemed figure in the heavens would possess a strong determination to reshape the faith of humanity and restore humanity to an era of divine monarchy. If that were true, the world would be in complete disarray. Similar to Nick Fury, whose primary objective was safeguarding the planet, he found himself deeply concerned in this particular instance. He pondered how to establish a system of checks and balances for the angels, allowing the heavenly beings to find stability on Earth. For some reason, Nick Fury came up with the phrase "utilize legends to confront legends." Upon this realization, Nick Fury's demeanor swiftly shifted to one of optimism. Indeed, there were other beings that had also made their way to Earth from the celestial realm. Wasn't there also Asgard? Asgard held dominion over the 9 realms, including Earth among its vast territories. With the arrival of celestial beings from above, the responsibility of tending to their needs fell upon the realm of Asgard. If humans were to gain Asgard's support, they could potentially restore balance between heaven and angels. Nick Fury believed this approach was practical and intended to have a conversation with Thor, who hailed from Asgard. In addition to Nick Fury's concerns about the arrival of the angel, there were also others who harbored strong animosity towards its presence. Tony was a part of that group. Tony, a dedicated materialist and technology enthusiast, held no belief in the existence of a higher power. In his perspective, Asgard was merely a civilization with superior technological advancements. Tony didn't have any issues with Asgard since Thor, a resident of Asgard, was his friend, and Asgard didn't meddle too much in earthly affairs. However, angels had a distinct quality. These individuals have excelled at manipulating others since ancient times. In addition, the angel's posture conveyed a clear intention to win over people's hearts. If it wasn't attempting to accomplish a task, Tony wouldn't believe it. Jarvis, analyze this descending angel. Perhaps I will require a suit of armor capable of countering the celestial being. Tony informed Jarvis of the importance of proactive planning. In addition, Tony had a strong intuition that the angels had intentions for the Earth, and there could potentially be significant conflicts ahead. It is crucial to make adequate preparations in order to avoid potential future complications. Furthermore, Tony harbored another idea within him. Perhaps the Earth could benefit from a figure of great reverence. Little did Tony realize that his idea would lead to significant complications down the line. Just like Nick Fury and Tony suspected, the arrival of the angels was not driven by good intentions, but by ambition. Located in the Papal States, within the grandest church, the angel attentively listened to the Pope's report, displaying a sense of satisfaction. Upon hearing about the current state of affairs in today's world, the angel's evident displeasure was palpable. It has been quite some time since the presence of God has been felt, allowing the pagans to gain control over the world. In that case, cleanse it. The future of this ailing world can only be revitalized through a process of transformation. This is a significant discovery. The angels' demeanor was filled with resentment, while the believers surrounding them were brimming with enthusiasm. Faith had thoroughly influenced them without recognizing that the purification mentioned by angels was not a benevolent concept. In the annals of the Christian faith, when divine discontent with human avarice and transgressions arose, a decision was made to cleanse the world. Thus arrived the monumental flood. A catastrophic flood wiped out nearly all of humanity, leaving only one survivor named Noah who managed to escape on a ship. After that, Noah established a new world, unintentionally overlooking the other humans who perished in the flood. This was a significant revelation and a consistent practice of God. Given God's dissatisfaction with this world, it is inevitable that he would choose to destroy and subsequently rebuild it. Regarding the question of whether humanity can rebuild a new world, what relevance does God have in this matter? Lord Angel, a diplomat from the United States, has arrived for a visit. Would you be interested in meeting him? Just as the angel contemplated the task of fully cleansing this new world, which had lost sight of God's glory, at that moment, a dedicated individual rushed in from outside. A diplomat? Please allow him entry. The angel murmured softly. She was hesitant to meet the diplomat. Maybe, with her guidance, the people in this world could rediscover their connection to a higher power. Shortly after, a distinguished gentleman in a well-tailored suit and impeccably styled silver hair entered the church. Upon witnessing the celestial being enveloped in divine radiance, his eyes revealed a distinct expression of astonishment. Nevertheless, he was a seasoned diplomat and quickly concealed his internal surprise. "Nice to meet you, the wonderful angel. I am a diplomat from the United States. My name is John. I have come to see your miracles." The ambassador, John, spoke respectfully and with a very low stance. However, the angel snorted harshly after giving him a chilly stare. Isn't the United States a hypocritical country that ignores God's splendor while advertising freedom? Haha. State your purpose, sinner. The angel declared John a sinner because he could not see God's devotion in his eyes. If angels were not religious enough to God, they were sinners. John was an older diplomat. He would not become furious until he had no choice. When he heard the angel declare he was a sinner, he felt a bit irritated on the inside. Birdman believed he was a god. It's only an extraterrestrial. It was clear that John believed in materialism. However, despite his thoughts, John did not voice them. He remained courteous and said, with a low stance, "Our country greatly admires God's glory. May the Lord's glory be with us." The purpose of this visit is to ask you, Lord Angel, to pay more attention to your influence and try not to incite the believers to do something irrational. In exchange, The United States will energetically promote God's honor, so that God's churches can be located wherever in the United States. John expressed his intentions. He hoped the angels and the person in heaven would pay some heed to their influence on earth. They were not forbidden from seeing the believers, but he hoped they would not provoke them to act in an excessive manner. For example, clearing out heretics. When religion surpassed morals, it became a dreadful thing. Humph, do you want to use the shackles of mortals to bind us, the great angels? No way. As for the United States benefits, God owns the entire planet. And it was God who gave you this country and allowed you to exist. You're just lambs. As for the believers of God, they will naturally listen to God's arrangement. The best punishment for those heretics who do not believe in God is to let them fall into hell. The angel remained haughty and did not take John's warning seriously. Regarding so-called morality, did angels require humans to teach them how to conduct things? After hearing the angel's response, the diplomat called John was clearly surprised, and his rage continued to escalate. He was infuriated. This wicked angel was obviously a demon. Despite this, he remained calm and carefully explained. Lord Angel, depriving others of their lives without authorization is a violation of human rights and an insult to human dignity. I wish the angels would treat humans with a little more respect instead of treating them like livestock. I believe God feels the same way. John stated that the defense of human rights was the fundamental principle of human morality. Even the United States must uphold human rights. Humans were not lambs. This was what the President of the United States told him. Even in the midst of civil upheaval, every government should protect human dignity. Even the United States, with its poor image, would insist on preserving human dignity, because they were all humans. However, after hearing John's comments, the angel's gaze turned absolutely cold and terrifying. She began to regret having to speak so much to a heretic. Does God think so too? Do you know God better than I do? The nonsense of a sinner makes me lose my patience. Servants of God drag him outside to the square and purify his fallen soul with fire. The angel was too sluggish to debate with John and instead sent a straight instruction to the Pope. The so-called purifying process consisted solely of scorching with fire. The Pope and others were astonished when they heard the angel's command. Despite their strong religious beliefs, they held the notion of human rights in high regard. But their hesitancy lasted just a second, and they quickly followed the angel's directions and carried John, the heretic, outside to the plaza. When angels came on earth, so-called human rights were considered a joke. They wanted to believe in their own ideas, including the idea that they would go to paradise after death. John was stunned by this. He did not anticipate being burnt to death. He was a diplomat. Thus, he traveled here alone. But when he was really thrown on the square, chained to a pole, and filled with gasoline, he recognized that everything was true. Are you crazy, guys? She is not an angel at all. She is a demon. She is trampling on human decency. She is wantonly taking human life. Will you be her accomplice? Are you still human? John yelled at the believers, attempting to halt their activity. Unfortunately, his screams were ineffective. When faith took precedence over morals, everyone faced the greatest risk. News reporters outside the square captured the spectacle of John yelling at the Christians. Everyone stared at him suspiciously and had no idea what was going on. John knew he couldn't persuade those wild fanatics and moved his attention to the media. He started shouting loudly, expecting to be saved. Hello, journalists all across the world. I am John. I am a United States diplomat. These believers are insane. They are going to burn me because I want angels to respect human dignity. That monster is absolutely not an angel. It's a demon disguised as an angel. It's the most terrible devil. John's cries were heard far away, yet no one rushed to his aid. Those journalists, on the other hand, were devoted to the camera in their hands and broadcast the scene of his ranting to the entire globe. Then, in front of everyone, John was lit on fire. Because his entire body was soaked in gasoline, John was quickly engulfed in flames. This awful scene sparked outrage all around the world. Nick Fury, in his own workplace, smashed the table in front of him. Although he didn't know John, he was still a human, and he felt the same. Nick Fury realized from John's experience that angels and the heavens behind them were human foes. "You bird, you will experience the wrath of humanity." Nick Fury spoke with hate. Even though his heart was chilly, it was fueled by rage at the time. He couldn't settle down right now, and all he wanted was to rush to the Papal States and tear that blasted angel apart. Damn, they were treating people like animals. It wasn't only Nick Fury. Tony was equally affected. He was also enraged now. "If that's an angel, then I'm going to send her to hell." Tony responded firmly to Jarvis, then strapped on his Mark armor and flew straight into the Papal States. He acted violently and arrogantly. He did not place the so-called angel in his eyes. Nick Fury and Tony's response was only the start. In fact, when this news was relayed throughout the world, everyone was in commotion. The gory truth revealed to humanity that what angels delivered was not hope but dark servitude and trampling. What sort of crap angel was this? Get back to your God. Humanity wouldn't be reduced to a lamb. Instead, they would only propose war. At this point, all humans were outraged by the angel's arrogance. Naruto was watching the news at the seashore manor. Even Naruto was irritated when he watched the ambassador called John being burnt to death in plain daylight. Just that he was indolent and loved spending time with Hela, who did not exclude him from being upset. Hela certainly sensed Naruto's feelings, so she rushed up and comforted him with a peck on the cheek. "Do you know anything about God?" Naruto asked Hela a question. "Yes, Odin once told me. God is a strong man, and even Odin may not be a match for him." Hela didn't disguise it and responded to Naruto. Naruto was taken aback by what Hela had said. He did not anticipate God to be so powerful. If God is stronger than Odin, then why was heaven sealed by Odin instead? Yes, there was an issue. Odin sealed heaven, not by his own strength, but by using the greatest treasure of Asgard's immortal palace, the Immortal Palace Stone. If there was no Immortal Palace Stone, Odin might have been defeated by God long ago. Odin did not kill God, he just sealed him. Doesn't this still explain his strength? Hela narrated the entire thing. This was a secret, and Naruto was unaware. At the same time, Naruto realized that it was no surprise that this angel was so haughty. God possessed great ability and talent. God was, without a doubt, a powerful opponent for Asgard. Now Asgard had lost both Odin and the Immortal Palace Stone. It remained unclear if anybody could beat God again. Naruto felt considerably more at ease when he realized Hela now had 3 Infinity Stones. Hela, plus 3 Infinity Stones. Even if Odin were revived, he would be hanged and hammered. There was no question about it. It was no surprise that Hela was so serene, with no hint of worry at the advent of a powerful opponent. Only if you were secure in your own abilities could you sit back and relax. But this time, Naruto wasn't going to let Hela figure things out on her own. God of Heaven. Huh? He hoped the old guy could remain calm otherwise. If he truly wanted to play Revelation again, Naruto would kill him. Despite his incredible power, Naruto still felt like a person at heart. When human dignity was assaulted, Naruto felt his dignity had been damaged. If that so-called God truly wanted to eliminate mankind, Naruto promised that he would be the first to kill him. Hela gripped Naruto's hand and drew it into her palm as if she could read his mind. "I will accompany you once you are prepared. I am here to assist you." It was evident that Hela was becoming increasingly skilled at satisfying Naruto. John's body remained tied to the pillar, charred and disfigured, in the Papal States. Reporters around the square were utterly perplexed. The devoted followers, filled with a sense of triumph, reverently chanted prayers and expressed gratitude for the divine presence as they gathered around John's body. This was an unusual scene that caused discomfort for people worldwide. However, in an instant, a figure swiftly soared into the sky. Before long, the individual gracefully touched down in the center of the square. The visitor turned out to be Iron Man angels, those ridiculous angels. Examining the charred remains of John, Tony uttered with frustration. His words evoked a sense of darkness and coolness that resonated with all of humanity. Nevertheless, it provoked strong emotions among the surrounding believers. You should go to hell. Those individuals who hold differing beliefs should be dealt with accordingly. Burn him. The majesty of the Lord Angel must not be dishonored. Our actions will be met with approval. The presence of the Lord is with us. The statements of those fervent believers left Tony feeling indifferent. He was taken aback by the unconventional behavior of these individuals. Is it possible for them to disregard human dignity and take human lives in the name of God's supposed glory? Today, it was John. Who will be chosen for tomorrow? Was it necessary to eliminate all individuals who did not believe in God? Just as Tony was becoming frustrated, the angel eventually emerged from the church. She appeared to be dressed in full battle gear, complete with a mask that concealed half of her face. The body still radiated a sacred light, with a golden divine ring suspended above her head. Nevertheless, Tony saw the angel at this moment as indistinguishable from the devil, another nonconformist. Do you believe you can challenge the greatness of our Lord with these mere lumps of iron? The angel looked at Iron Man and spoke with an air of superiority. She completely disregarded Iron Man. She viewed him as nothing more than a heretic. The glory of God? If he ever showed up in front of me, I would definitely give him a piece of my mind. What justifies showing respect to a deity who disregards the dignity of humanity? Tony's remarks were extremely disrespectful and provoked a strong reaction from the angel. It appears that the divine presence has been absent from this land for an extended period. Even the elderly lambs dare to defy their master. However, it is commendable. In that case, let's dispose of them all. It was sufficient for this sacred land to be inhabited solely by God's devoted servants. Regarding other individuals who hold differing beliefs, may they face the consequences of their actions. Once, a powerful force brought forth a great flood to purify a group of individuals who strayed from the accepted beliefs, and now it seemed that history was on the verge of repeating itself. Considering this, the angel had no desire to engage in further conversation with Tony. She simply had to eliminate the heretic before her. So, in front of everyone, the angel gracefully ascended into the air. With a sudden flash of brilliance, a sleek, gleaming sword materialized in her grasp. Wrongdoer, you will face the judgment of the Lord. During her speech, she directed the sword she was holding towards Tony and unleashed a scorching blast of fire from its tip. Upon witnessing the sight, Tony's pupils contracted, prompting him to swiftly take flight in order to evade the flames. Regarding the pillar of fire, once it descended to the ground, it quickly expanded in every direction. The individuals who had gathered around Tony with the intention of burning him as part of their religious ritual were engulfed in flames. They were quickly consumed by fire. Observing this scene, Tony's frustration intensified. Is that how one should treat individuals who serve a higher purpose? Tony inquired the angel. The individual snorted dismissively and chose not to respond. She did not give much consideration to those fervent believers who perished. The servants of God were extremely obedient and humble. Given the nature of the animal being a lamb, it is expected to be handled with care and professionalism. They believed that their souls would be received by a higher power, allowing them to experience a life of happiness and fulfillment in the afterlife. Despite the fact that no mortal soul had ever set foot in heaven, Tony's resilience was unmatched, forcing the angel to take matters into her own hands. She accelerated rapidly, transforming into a blur of light as she swiftly approached Tony. Tony's gaze exuded an air of sophistication and poise. Despite his confident demeanor, deep down, he harbored doubts about his ability to overcome the angel. At this moment, Tony considered the possibility of injecting an extremist virus. If there was an extremist virus, he would undoubtedly have the capability to overcome this conceited angel. Currently, Tony could only endure the situation and persevere. Despite careful consideration, it only took a brief moment. In a remarkably swift manner, the angel appeared before Tony's lifeless form. With precision and expertise, the long sword in her hand swiftly sliced through the air, aiming directly for Tony's neck. Clearly, the angel intended to sever Tony's head with the sword. Nevertheless, Tony swiftly responded by shooting the angel directly in front of him. The unsuspecting angel was swiftly struck by a palm cannon, causing her body to be forcefully pushed back. Nevertheless, the force of the palm cannon proved ineffective against the angel. On the contrary, it only fueled the angel's anger. "You are not a good person. Go away." The angel appeared to be deeply offended by the perceived disrespect towards Her Majesty and swiftly charged towards Tony, letting out a piercing scream. The long sword in her hand cut through the air with a chilling gleam. Tony exercised caution and fired a series of precise, targeted missiles. The vulnerable angel was once again struck by technological weapons. Amidst a fiery explosion, the angel's body was engulfed in flames. Then, a celestial being descended abruptly from the heavens, making a grand entrance before the entire world. Angel, bested by a mere mortal. Upon witnessing this scene, individuals from all corners of the globe were filled with anticipation. So what's the deal with angels? Would they still be defeated by humans? If the divine being above saw humanity as nothing more than a helpless creature, humanity would not hesitate to challenge and defy God through the horrors of war. Furthermore, there were also individuals who were deeply saddened by witnessing the descent of the angel. Many of these individuals were devout followers of the Christian faith. At the location of the Stark Tower in New York City, a group of individuals came together to discuss the possibility of demolishing the building. According to some individuals, Tony had the audacity to confront the angel, an act that was seen as disrespectful towards God's glory. Tony's actions are highly unprofessional, and the financial stability of Tony's Stark Group is questionable. On Tony's side, he remained vigilant, fully aware that missiles alone would not be enough to overcome the angel. Indeed, the angel who had descended from the heavens earlier ascended once more. However, she appeared somewhat embarrassed. Her pristine wings were also singed, and her armor showed signs of wear. Nevertheless, the intensity in her gaze almost materialized. Tony noticed a strong sense of frustration in her gaze, even though her face was partially concealed by a mask. "Oops," Tony said in a less than pleasant manner. As the words hung in the air, the angel swiftly moved towards Tony once more. On this occasion, she displayed remarkable speed, leaving Tony with little opportunity to react as he quickly fired his palm cannon. However, the angel skillfully evaded it, demonstrating their quick reflexes. Then Tony was struck by the long sword in the angel's hand, causing his body to be forcefully propelled backward. After pausing midair, Tony didn't have a moment to assess the extent of the damage as the angel launched another attack. Once, twice, 10 times, 20 times. The angel's long sword relentlessly slashed at Tony's steel suit, causing a shower of sparks. Tony was also facing constant challenges, and his mood gradually became more somber. Back armor compromised, imminent danger. Power unit destroyed, danger. Weapon system destroyed, danger. Leg armor compromised, be cautious. In Tony's warning, Jarvis' steel suit was effortlessly sliced through by the furious angel. Eventually, the angel ceased her assault. Tony also descended from the sky and gracefully landed on the square. Currently, Tony was unable to move due to the destruction of the power system. Currently, people worldwide are concerned about the safety of Tony's life. Tony himself was unchanged as he witnessed the angel's presence, wielding a formidable sword. Wicked sinner, perish. The skilled warrior confidently lifted her weapon, poised to strike her opponent. Suddenly, an eerie black light descended from the sky. Before this individual could even react, they were knocked out. A dark beam soared to the highest point of the church, striking the angel perched atop. It was evident to all that the angel's abdomen had been impaled by a dark sword. At this moment, the world was in chaos, and the angel had indeed fallen. At the manor, Hela's expression was filled with admiration as she approached Naruto, clearly impressed by his presence. Naruto was generous. He aggressively nibbled on Hela's delicate face. "Impressive job. It was quite satisfying to observe," Naruto remarked to Hela, eliciting a smile from her. At that critical moment, Tony faced a life-threatening situation as the angel's sword loomed over him. However, Hela swiftly intervened, summoning her own sword and launching it towards the Papal States. This sword arrived at the Papal States with remarkable swiftness, capturing the attention of all as it impaled the angel onto the church. Hela did all this with the intention of helping Naruto find peace. Hela noticed that Naruto had a strong dislike for the angel. Considering Naruto's strong dislike for her, it seems appropriate for the angel to face a less favorable fate. This idea was suggested by Hela. Regarding the matter of saving Tony, it was merely a coincidental occurrence. I am uncertain of the response that heaven will have upon discovering the passing of this celestial being. If they truly have intentions to bring about the destruction of the world and the extinction of humanity, would you be willing to join me in taking action against such a grave threat? Naruto extended his hand towards Hela and politely inquired. His tone of voice was formal, as if he was inquiring about Hela's dinner preferences for the evening. Certainly, it is the responsibility of a leader to address and manage frustrations. Hela also agreed with a smile, completely disregarding heaven. Amidst the speculation surrounding the angel's fate, little did the world realize that the couple was engaged in a playful exchange. However, Nick Fury immediately identified the sword. Upon Hela's initial discovery, he narrowly escaped death at the hands of a sword. It was evident that he possessed an exceptional memory. At times, he frequently experiences unsettling dreams. Now that Hela killed the angel, Nick Fury's initial assumption was that Hela committed this act out of frustration. Nick Fury had strong opinions about Asgard, perceiving it as excessively dominant. However, Nick Fury has come to the sudden realization that Asgard is exceptionally impressive. When comparing Asgard to the angels of heaven, it seemed quite humble in comparison. In the 10th realm beyond the 9 realms, heaven, the Almighty observed from his majestic throne as the diligent servants below presented their reports. The angel Gabriel, with his expertise in observing the world and faithfully conveying the will of God, emerged from the crowd and positioned himself in front of God. My lord, I have just been informed of the unfortunate news that the esteemed angel Rolf, who ventured to earth through the gates of heaven, has tragically perished in battle. She was killed by Hela, the queen of Asgard. After Gabriel finished speaking, the angels present were filled with frustration. They committed a grave offense by taking the life of a celestial being on earth, an act that goes against religious beliefs. Furthermore, Asgard took action. Yet the warmongers failed to give proper consideration to their celestial realm. Michael, the archangel responsible for warfare, also rose and addressed God. My lord, let us commence a sacred conflict. After an extended absence from Earth, the Lamb seems to have lost sight of the divine splendor and has succumbed to the influence of the otherworldly forces of Asgard. We should strive for peace and understanding to help guide those who may be misinformed. Only those who are dedicated to serving the Lord can reside in his sacred land. As a renowned military strategist in heaven, Michael had a strong inclination towards initiating conflicts. Upon learning that the glory of God had been blasphemed in the world, his initial instinct was to initiate a righteous battle against Asgard. Simultaneously, it was necessary to purify the earth. It is important to remember the significance of our faith and to embody the values of humility and compassion. Let us strive to promote understanding and unity instead of resorting to destructive actions. The angels had no objections to Michael's proposal. They shared the same thoughts as Michael. Given the prevailing disbelief in the divine, it seemed unnecessary for these individuals to persist. Another catastrophic event, such as a major flood, could potentially eliminate the pollution and individuals engaging in immoral behavior across the globe. Then, they could select devoted individuals to become the new Noah and embark on the task of recreating the world. Regarding Asgard, the realm known for its arrogance, it is only fitting that it be brought to its downfall. With Odin's demise, numerous angels in heaven believed that Asgard would be unable to thwart their plans. Maybe the divine radiance could also be extended to Asgard, transforming all Asgardians into embodiments of divine grace. The expression on God's face remained the same. He calmly observed the angels below. Just as the angels were wondering if God would reject them, he finally spoke. Certainly, Michael, your request will be fulfilled. Initiate a conflict of great significance against Asgard and extend my influence to that realm. Regarding individuals who have strayed from the righteous path, Gabriel, sound the horn of devastation. and the sacred flames shall cleanse all transgressions from the earthly realm. God spoke softly and swiftly delegated the task to the angels in an instant. The significance of God was also quite apparent. They were determined to reclaim everything that had been lost in the midst of conflict. The 9 realms had been neglected for far too long, and it was time to restore their former glory. Regardless of the location, the experience remained consistent. War and extermination were undoubtedly the most effective means. Despite the tragic loss of numerous lives, the Lord remained indifferent. From a divine perspective, lives that lacked faith held no significance, and their ultimate fate was annihilation. Unaware of the impending catastrophe, the inhabitants of Earth were oblivious to the impending doom that awaited them. The global media extensively covered the events unfolding in the Papal State during this period. A tragic incident occurred in a church where a life was lost in front of a crowd. This event had a significant impact on humanity. The first aspect that caught my attention was the angel's perspective on humans, a subject that is widely debated in today's society. Angels, once revered for their beauty in ancient mythology, were now unveiling a sinister aspect. They disregarded the value of human dignity and showed a lack of respect for human morality. This situation greatly frustrated humans. In the evolution of society, the idea of equal treatment for all individuals became ingrained, ensuring that everyone had the opportunity to seek personal liberty. Gone were the days of being treated with utmost reverence. Given the circumstances, one can only imagine the level of frustration that humans would feel towards the actions of that angel. Today, there was a widespread global backlash against angels and God. Churches around the world have suffered damage to different extents, and there are individuals who took pleasure in disrespecting places of Christian worship. Aside from those who strongly opposed angels, there were also fervent followers of the Christian faith. They had a strong conviction in their faith and were ready to devote themselves fully to God. They were dedicated individuals who saw themselves as guardians of everything sacred on earth. As expected, there were intense clashes between these two groups of individuals. Acts of killing and violence were occurring in various parts of the world. The crime rate, which was already alarmingly high, had reached an even more terrifying level. Naturally, apart from these two polarized factions, regular individuals remained concerned. Those regular individuals were even more concerned about the possibility of another invasion similar to the Chitauri army. Several renowned individuals in the media have already predicted the possibility of a recurrence of the catastrophic flood mentioned in the Bible. It is possible that a divine purification may occur to absolve the world of its transgressions once more. This argument received widespread support due to the existence of a previous case that set a similar example. Amidst the widespread concern and fear of a potential catastrophe, Nick Fury remained incredibly occupied. He recently attended a routine meeting with the military leaders. The United States had taken proactive measures to prepare for the war and was fully prepared for the potential global catastrophe that could occur at any moment. Regarding Nick Fury, he also started to enlist additional superheroes to join the Avengers. If heaven truly descended and unleashed a catastrophic event, the Avengers superheroes undoubtedly played a crucial role. If that couple decides to take action, the situation will become much more straightforward. Considering a particular formidable deity on the planet, Nick Fury let out a sigh and remarked. Naturally, he refrained from interrupting the couple. Otherwise, the potential outcomes could be more severe than anything imaginable. I sincerely hope for a world filled with peace. Nick Fury let out a frustrated sigh. He pondered the state of the world, which seemed to be growing increasingly tumultuous with each passing day. He was beginning to feel a slight nostalgia for the past. At that time, there was a significant concern regarding terrorists, and unfortunately, a plane incident occurred where a building was impacted. In stark contrast to the present situation, the Chitauri army and Asgard's invasion brought even heaven into the fray. When confronted with these extraterrestrial races, Nick Fury always felt a deep sense of powerlessness. Today's individuals were akin to infants still in their cribs. When encountering those mature alien civilizations, they were completely defenseless. He could only hope and pray that the impending catastrophe would be averted. Based on Murphy's Law, the higher your level of concern, the greater the likelihood of the event occurring. Once again, it was identical. During a period of widespread concern about the potential for a catastrophic event, the world was indeed faced with its own destruction. This time, the world's destruction took a different form, as the previous method of purification through a great flood was no longer effective. This time, the world's destruction came in the form of the heavenly fire, a symbol of divine judgment. It was the late hours of the night, when the majority of people were fast asleep. A blazing object streaked across the night sky, leaving a fiery trail in its wake before crashing into the Earth's surface. This was only the start, as an increasing number of fireballs emerged, saturating the sky, resembling a downpour of meteorites bombarding the Earth. This scene instantly caused widespread panic across the globe. It appears that individuals have been transported back in time to the era just before the extinction of the dinosaurs, approximately 65 million years ago. And this time, humans found themselves facing the threat of extinction. As the fireballs neared the ground, the military forces of every nation unleashed their firepower. In the United States, the major military bases were well prepared and fully ready for war. Many missiles were launched into the air and successfully intercepted the fireballs. Missiles and laser weapons successfully intercepted numerous fireballs before they could reach the ground. It was clear to everyone that the fireballs burst in the sky. Throughout the night, a multitude of fireworks illuminated the sky, creating a breathtaking display of beauty. However, lurking beneath this captivating allure was the looming threat of annihilation. Amidst the barrage of fireballs, a formidable angel materialized, armed and ready. These angels were the true arbiters. Purification is necessary for sin, and the earth is in need of lambs. A team of highly skilled individuals enthusiastically chanted rallying cries as they soared towards the neighboring urban areas. Most angels would opt to descend upon a city and engage in ruthless acts of violence. Undoubtedly, for these celestial beings, their actions involved not taking lives but rather carrying out a sacred act of purification. They arrived with a divine mission to cleanse the earth of wrongdoing. It was a tragic event, and the angels showed no regard for the age or vulnerability of their victims. They were determined to hold on to it, no matter what. The rebellion of humanity was a natural response to the wickedness of these angels. A superhero ventured forth and vanquished the celestial beings. Tony Stark, the renowned Iron Man, experienced a significant boost in strength after enhancing his state-of-the-art armor and undergoing the extremist virus treatment. Currently, he was soaring above the United States at an incredibly rapid pace. He quickly traveled from city to city, diligently working to eliminate the malevolent angels. Hulk was also traveling on Earth, moving swiftly between different cities. Thor, Fantastic Four, Spider-Man, X-Men. Many individuals on the human side enlisted in the war. Simultaneously, a haunting and age-old horn sound resonated from above, as a celestial being with 8 majestic wings gracefully emerged from the gates of heaven and descended upon the earthly realm. He grasped a golden horn, renowned for its destructive power as mentioned in the Bible. Whenever this horn was sounded, the earth would experience widespread devastation. Now, the horn was once again brought out. Observing the widespread turmoil and the relentless onslaught of celestial beings, Naruto and Hela expressed their concern. When Hela discovered that Asgard had been invaded by angels, her eyes gleamed with a fierce determination. It appears that the divine forces above show no mercy. He is an individual with a strong sense of self, perhaps even more confident than Odin. Hela expressed her disdain for the god of heaven with a cold tone. If one were to lack faith in a higher power, the consequences would be severe. Even Asgard had not done such an overwhelming thing, and no one could ascertain the origin of the celestial deity. He characterized the devastation of the world as a form of cleansing. Given your affinity for purification, I am more than capable of purifying heaven to your satisfaction. Hello, let's go and have a wild time. Naruto confidently informed Hela that he had no intention of simply waiting and observing any longer. It's highly unlikely that Naruto would simply forgive them for invading Asgard. Despite Naruto's lack of enthusiasm for Asgard, who bestowed the title of queen upon his wife, he would make sure Hela pays for it later. Anyway, Naruto was quite frustrated with heaven. Since it was bothersome, it was sufficient to get rid of it. Hela's response was straightforward. She skillfully wielded the space stone, effortlessly opening a celestial portal to the heavens. Confidently, the two entered it side by side. Upon emerging from the passage, Naruto and Hela found themselves in heaven, the 10th realm beyond the 9 realms. One thing worth mentioning is that the view of heaven was truly exceptional. Everywhere exuded an air of elegance and beauty, and a sense of reverence permeated the world. Many angels soared through the skies of this heavenly realm, creating a breathtaking scene reminiscent of a magical wonderland. At the heart of heaven stood a majestic city, the very abode of God himself. The unexpected arrival of Hela quickly caught the angels' attention. Individually, the angels gracefully soared above and encircled Naruto and Hela, positioning themselves at the center. "You, who dares to trespass on the sacred land of the Lord, shall face the consequences of your actions. Blasphemy by sinners will not be tolerated by heaven, and the Lord will ensure that punishment is delivered. Hold them accountable and ensure justice is served for their actions." Angels lost their initial charm and transformed into ruthless beings. It seemed that Naruto and Hela had done something terribly wrong upon their arrival in heaven. In addition, these angels were not simply speaking but actively taking steps to make a difference. One after another, the angels gracefully approached Naruto and Hela, each wielding a different weapon. Considering the circumstances, it was evident that their intention was to completely dismantle Naruto and Hela. However, what awaited these celestial beings was a menacing sword emanating an aura of doom. A multitude of swords, crafted by Hela, soared towards the celestial beings. They swiftly eliminated every angel by piercing their bodies. Right from the start of the battle, Hela inflicted significant damage upon the angels. Many angels were struck down by the swords and plummeted from the sky, unable to defend themselves. The once serene paradise was now marred by the presence of blood. Simultaneously, the disturbance caused by Hela also caught the interest of the formidable angels residing in the city of God. Uriel, being one of the 4 archangels, was the first to come across Hela and Naruto, showcasing their keen sense of judgment. By divine command, Uriel, the angel of judgment, led a select group of his followers as they soared towards Naruto and Hela. He aimed to apprehend these two individuals who had audaciously trespassed into heaven and subject them to the most severe form of judgment. This was the sole method to appease the fury inside him. Uriel was known for embodying both a sense of discernment and a fiery passion. According to biblical records, he was also regarded as an angel in charge of ruling over hell. Simultaneously, Naruto found himself holding a small white card as Hela unleashed her wrath upon the angels. This small card appeared unremarkable and lacked any apparent significance, yet it proved to be a formidable asset that Naruto acquired through the system check-in. The sleek white card appeared to be a standard greeting card. However, the card in question had a rather unsettling name, the two-dimensional reduction card. At first, Naruto was skeptical about using this item, but to his surprise, it proved to be quite useful within a short span of time. Observing the angels swiftly approaching him, Naruto's gaze grew icy, and he calmly released the small white card from his grasp. Given the circumstances, it may be necessary to take a more assertive approach and completely remove the roots to prevent any potential issues down the line. Regrettably, the angels were unaware that the seemingly innocuous little card concealed a malevolent deity of death beneath its unassuming facade. "What is this?" Uriel, a seasoned warrior, observed the small white card floating towards him with a hint of bewilderment. An official letter of surrender? However, the white card is completely blank. In addition, it is only through judgment that one can find redemption for their sins. Who would be willing to accept your surrender? Thus, Uriel, the angel of judgment, paid no attention to the insignificant two-dimensional reduction card that flew by. Instead, he calmly picked up a sacred flame and intended to incinerate this small card. However, the following scene caused Uriel, the angel of judgment, to feel somewhat uneasy. Due to the nature of the holy flame he unleashed, it did not cause any damage to the two-dimensional reduction card. Instead, it effortlessly passed through it as if the small card did not exist at all. What is happening here? Expert in discerning right from wrong, Uriel was taken aback. He gazed intently at the motionless two-dimensional reduction card. However, an event occurred that left Uriel, the Angel of Judgment, filled with horror. A celestial being gracefully descended upon the diminutive white card, swiftly striking it with a mighty sword. However, the sword effortlessly passed through the middle of the two-dimensional reduction card without causing any damage to the small card. This card does not belong in this dimension. Uriel, the Angel of Judgment, recognized that this card existed in a separate dimension from him and the others. Simultaneously, the energy surrounding the two-dimensional reduction card started to diminish, allowing the god of death concealed within the small white card to soon escape its confines. Hurry! Stay away from that small card. The Angel of Judgment, Uriel, recognized the gravity of the situation and promptly alerted the nearby angels. Due to anxiety, the Angel of Judgment's once composed expression was now filled with a sense of panic. Unfortunately, by that point, it was already too late. In an instant, the energy surrounding the two-dimensional reduction card vanished entirely, revealing the horrifying true form of the god of death before the eyes of numerous angels. The unfortunate angel who was nearest to the card of dimensional reduction had already begun to retreat upon hearing the cautionary words of Uriel, the Angel of Judgment. Regrettably, his speed remained insufficient. Two-dimensional reduction cards were an incredibly powerful weapon capable of transforming the three-dimensional world into a two-dimensional realm, resulting in a significant reduction in dimensions. What made the situation even more unsettling was the fact that the transition from a three-dimensional world to a two-dimensional world was permanent. Put simply, when the two-dimensional reduction card is unfolded, it compresses the surrounding three-dimensional world into two dimensions without interruption. This process of dimensional reduction would persist until the entire three-dimensional world was completely reduced in dimensions. The unfortunate angel, having flown a considerable distance, found itself ensnared by the effects of a two-dimensional reduction card. Then, in the presence of numerous celestial beings, he underwent a transformation from a three-dimensional entity to a two-dimensional form and was extensively captured on camera. Uriel, the Angel of Judgment, could discern the fear reflected in the eyes of this unfortunate angel. This unusual scene also caused Uriel, the Angel of Judgment, to feel uneasy. The process of three-dimensional creatures transitioning to two dimensions was quite harsh. In summary, it meant being completely overwhelmed. It felt as though someone was being flattened by a heavy machinery. From an individual with physical dimensions to a painting with only two dimensions, as he had completely lost his third dimension. The two-dimensional reduction method of the two-dimensional reduction card was incredibly powerful, leaving three-dimensional objects feeling helpless in its wake. One can envision the potential difficulties associated with this process. Not only was the unfortunate angel affected, but the entire heaven was being overwhelmed by the dominating force of the two-dimensional reduction card. All dimensions would be reduced, and any sense of depth would be eliminated. From Naruto and Hella's perspective, the areas affected by dimensionality reduction transformed into massive paintings, capturing their attention. This painting was of immense size, appearing to stretch infinitely in all directions, yet it possessed no discernible thickness. The fear of that unfortunate angel would be permanently captured in the painting. He had transformed from a highly skilled individual to someone who seemed devoid of substance. Hurry up, keep moving forward. Uriel, the Angel of Judgment, was filled with fear. He reminded the angels and hurriedly fled in the opposite direction. Nevertheless, the rate at which the two-dimensional reduction card's dimensionality reduction blow spread was incredibly fast. Anything unable to surpass the speed of light would be swiftly overtaken by the two-dimensional reduction card and captured in the colossal painting, forever transformed into a paper figure. Amidst the chaos, angels were swiftly taken away by the powerful force of two-dimensional reduction cards. Each subject was meticulously captured in a series of photographs, preserving their final moments in a timeless tableau that would later be immortalized as the monumental artwork Heaven. In a relatively short time after using the two-dimensional reduction card, less than half of Heaven had been totally occupied and transformed into a picture. This weapon, it's terrifying, being flattened alive into a sheet of paper of zero thickness. Is there more? Hela sighed as she took in the breathtaking landscape before her. The discourse took a turn, and she gave Naruto a bright glance. Clearly, she was interested in a two-dimensional reduction card. I have only this one. There is no more. I will give it to you the next time I have it. Naruto responded directly, without even wondering why Hela wanted it. If his wife requested something, he would provide it. It was quite straightforward. Unfortunately, he didn't have any more. He only received one two-dimensional reduction card, which he utilized straight. Hela heard Naruto say no, and while she was sorry, she did not say anything. She had originally planned to hurl a two-dimensional reduction card if she encountered a particularly terrible society in the future. When Naruto and Hela were conversing and laughing, the two-dimensional reduction card's dimensionality reduction extended to them. Two-dimensional reduction cards would not show pity to Naruto's subordinates simply because he employed them. However, the dimensionality reduction blow of two-dimensional reduction cards was too powerful for those angels to withstand. But for Naruto and Hela, the dimensionality reduction blow was insignificant. There was no need for Naruto to intervene. Hela quietly pulled out the space stone, held it in her palm, and then allowed the two-dimensional reduction card's dimensionality reduction strike her. However, the insurmountable dimensionality reduction attempt failed. Hela, who commanded the space stone, simply ignored the dimension reduction attack. She was resistant to the effects of the two-dimensional reduction card. In fact, several powerful Marvel characters might disregard this dimensionality reduction assault. Naruto even remembered that one of the 5 great gods had influence over 10 dimensions. The two-dimensional reduction card could only convert the three-dimensional world into a two-dimensional one. The disparity remained large as compared to controlling 10 dimensions. Not to add that in the late Marvel universe, the universe was reset at every step. In comparison to such a large landscape, the two-dimensional reduction card was rather little. However, for Uriel and the angels in heaven, this little item represented the unfathomable deity of death. Chapter 110 Killing God After Cutting His Roots. Angel of Judgment Uriel was finally caught up in the dimensionality reduction blow of the two-dimensional reduction card. His speed was incredible, but he hadn't yet achieved the speed of light, so he couldn't avoid the range of dimensionality reduction hits. No, my lord, save me. Before being crushed by dimension reduction, Uriel, the Angel of Judgment, opened his mouth in terror and spoke to the city of God. He hoped that his almighty Lord would preserve his life. Unfortunately, God did not react to him. So, with much fear and reluctance, Angel of Judgment Uriel, one of the 4 archangels, was directly impacted by the dimension decrease. He was driven over by the two-dimensional reduction card roller and pushed into a sheet of 0-thickness paper in excruciating anguish. How about the Angel of Judgment? Under the onslaught of dimensionality reduction, he was still reduced to 2 dimensions. He was pushed to death in the massive picture heaven, and his visage before his death was captured for all time. Simultaneously, within the greatest edifice in the city of God, God gently rose from his throne and stepped outside the church. Behind him, a throng of angels followed. God was furious as he watched the two-dimensional huge mural known as Heaven slowly unfold outside the city of God. Heaven was his foundation, and angels were his slaves. But at this point, his foundation and slaves had become into bits of paper with no thickness. My lord, what shall we do? Raphael, one of the 4 archangels, questioned God. Raphael's heart quivered in response to the dimensionality-reducing roller's strikes, and she knew she couldn't bear this horrible dimensionality-reducing roller's hit. She didn't run away, though. She trusted that the Almighty God could resolve all of this. God gazed at Raphael with compassion in his eyes. My servant, I'll remember your name. After I rebuild heaven, I will continue your glory. God spoke sympathetically, as if he were a scumbag who claimed responsibility after having an affair. Raphael's face became pallid. She had understood what God meant. She was abandoned, and God had no intention of saving her at all. She wanted to say more. She wanted to implore God to save his servant, but there was no hope. The dimensionality-reducing roller's strike struck her. Raphael's beautiful face and torso were flattened, and the thickness was gone. Raphael would no longer exist instead. A frantic angel was slapped to death in a painting. God's entire body was bathed in holy light, and he successfully resisted the onslaught of this dreadful two-dimensional reduction card. However, this was the extent of his abilities. He could protect himself, but he couldn't do anything about dimensionality reduction. Otherwise, he would not have abandoned heaven and his own servants, allowing them to perish. Soon, the entire heaven was transformed into a picture right in front of God. God shook his head, pity in his gaze. This was his foundation and slaves. Fortunately, Gabriel and Michael had convinced several angels to depart heaven ahead of schedule, so some of his inheritance was saved. Later, depending on the situation, he may simply select one of the 9 kingdoms to re-establish heaven. God, thinking about this, was about to go to rejoin his servants, but he apparently forgot about the one who survived the dimensionality-reducing roller's blow in heaven. He was not the only one. When the entire heaven was flattened into a picture, the existence of God, which had not been affected by dimensionality reduction, became very clear. Naruto and Hela soon appeared before God. God was astonished and enraged when Naruto and Hela arrived in front of him unexpectedly. He was astonished since God believed Naruto and Hela couldn't withstand such a dreadful two-dimensional reduction. The pair had utterly wrecked his heaven, which made him angry. All the angels were nearly extinct, and heaven's foundation was entirely undermined. Damn sinners, you need to go to the deepest hell for your sins. No, there is no room for you in hell. You should be banished to endless nothingness and suffer in eternal cold despair. You will bear my wrath, and no one will be able to save you. God furiously addressed Naruto and Hela. He, who always appeared placid, now resembled an outraged thug. It was also usual. No matter how nice God's temperament was, he would be enraged right now, because his home was attacked and utterly destroyed. However, Naruto and Hela only stared at him coldly, as if they were watching a clown. In reality, Naruto saw God as a clown. God was also irritated by Naruto and Hela's gaze. It had been a long time since anybody had ventured to look at him with such eyes. Well, he intended to kill these 2 offenders himself. God no longer hesitated. His body exploded into an infinite heavenly light, and he exuded a strong aura. Although God was extremely arrogant, it had to be acknowledged that he has the capital to be so. His might was immense, giving Naruto the impression that he was stronger than even Odin. Such a character could virtually stroll sideways across the 9 realms. It was no surprise that heaven's acting technique was so dominant. They have always behaved like this. The world was like a field, and mankind was like sheep. As long as those lambs did not trust in themselves, they should be killed and replaced with obedient ones. Wasn't that how the great deluge described in the Bible occurred? It was also because heaven was arrogant and overbearing, which Odin couldn't take longer and elected to remove heaven from the world tree and lock it up. Naruto was dissatisfied with heaven's previous actions on earth, so he walked to the entrance to destroy it himself. God declares, "You are guilty and deserve to die." God's face remained haughty, as did his tone. As his words faded, a terrible beam of light emerged from behind him, attacking Naruto and Hela. An assault of this magnitude could easily destroy a planet. Unfortunately, this time, he faced 2 actual monsters. Naruto didn't even bother continuing his relationship with God since he was irritated by his horrible visage. He thought it was best to kill this type of individual immediately. So Naruto extended his palm and sent a cosmic ray in the direction of God. This was a tactic Naruto learned from Galactus, and even he couldn't resist it. When confronted with an onslaught that might endanger even one of the 5 great gods, God had no way of defending and was murdered by this cosmic beam. The body, which was thought to be indestructible, also crumbled into nothingness beneath the cosmic rays at this time. So far, Naruto has entirely destroyed heaven, which imagined it could gaze down on the planet from above. Naruto and Hela didn't intend to stay here for a long time. They turned back and opened a space channel to exit. Stay tuned for more. And that's a wrap, folks. Thank you so much for tuning into this video. If you enjoyed it, I appreciate your support. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content. Looking forward to seeing you in the next video.